Hi, and welcome everyone to Ethereal Encounters Unveiled. Today we are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in beautiful New Orleans. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today we are live, and I'm super excited about that. We have a Wednesday live show. So for a lot of you folks that don't know, we kind of incorporated some Wednesday dates into the schedule, and I'm always thrilled to be here with you. So again, to reiterate, welcome to Ethereal Encounters Unveiled. And of course, we're broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, which is 105.3 FM on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. Please join us in the chat. We love to hear your questions and comments. So be sure, whatever platform you're on, whether it's Facebook, even LinkedIn, we're streaming all over the place. So please be sure and join us. We absolutely love hearing from you. So we'll start this off with a compelling statement and a question. Did you know that millions of people vividly remember history, pop culture, and even human anatomy as being fundamentally different from what it is today? And they're not wrong. They're all experiencing what's called the Mandela effect. And if you haven't heard about it, today you're going to learn all about it from one of the leading authorities and voices in this genre. And tonight we're moving past simply remembering. We're asking, what if these collective memory shifts are actually proof that our reality is changing? So today we're honored to welcome a researcher, as I said, that's the author of a new book called The Mandela Effect, and it's Society Awakening from Me to We, Cynthia Sue Larson. And a little bit about her. We've had her on the show before, and we're always thrilled and blessed to have her back. There's just so much to learn. Cynthia is the founder of Reality Shifters. She's the first president of the International Mandela Effect Conference, managing director of the Foundations of Mind, and creator and host of the Living and Quantum Dream podcast. So get ready to learn how the laws of quantum science and your own consciousness could be the key to understanding a new malleable reality. And of course, you can visit her website, which is realityshifters.com. We'll have that running across the screen as well. So let's welcome, hit the wrong button, Cynthia.
Yay. Thank you, Carolyn.
Thank you for being here. It's such a blessing to have you.
Thank you. Put my microphone in the right place.
Oh, boy, yeah.
It's good to be here. And live is something else again.
Yes. We don't always catch you live because your schedule, right. But today we got really lucky and caught you live. So that's very happy for that. And I'd like to say hello to some folks that are popping in. And as they pop in, yes blessed. Zisan, oh, you're on vacation. Yay. Always a blessing to have you here. Patsy, much love to you, dear friend. And she says hello to you as well. And Carrie, always a blessing to see you as well. I hope Heidi pops in. Like I said, a lot of people don't realize that we're doing a live. So as the word gets out,
nice.
Oh, who's this? I am the spoon, the fork, and the knife. That's good. I like that. Reality is. I like that a lot. So it's always such a blessing to have you here today. And we have so many questions. Let me get your banner up and running so folks can know where to reach out to you. And as I mentioned in the intro, your website, realityshifters.com, and you're on YouTube, Facebook, all over the place. So show some love to Cynthia and give her a thumbs up and a like. You know, it helps the algorithm, and it helps get the message out there. So, and especially in today's world that we live in, a lot of what we're saying is getting suppressed, and it's not good. It's not good. But as Mark Atwood says, he's an apocal optimist, which I love that word. So he's got a bright and positive outlook for our future. And I kind of hold that too, even though things are kind of crazy and rough. So, for folks that haven't seen or heard about you before, let's give them an intro as to your background. And of course, we're going to take a deep dive into your new book, which I read and which is amazing. Amazing. You have that available in audiobook as well.
Yes, it just came out in audiobook as well. That's brand new. So if people don't know about that, so many people love audiobook. You can listen in the car when you're driving. Nowadays, if you're having trouble sleeping, nothing better than hearing someone read something, especially physics, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And then you just back up and play it again. Oh, hi, Laura. That's so good to see you.
Good. Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm going to step aside for a minute, and you kind of just talk about yourself and where you're at.
Yes. So I have a background in physics from UC Berkeley. I got a degree there. And after that, I got an MBA degree focusing on information systems, worked at Citibank. But that's just the technical stuff. What really matters in my life, it's not that the physics doesn't matter, but I've been a lifelong, what's known as born aware. So it means I've all my life had one foot in the between lives place, whatever you want to call that. So for me, it was just, I remember who I was before I was born. I remember it feels like blissful state of being. That matters because all the work I do related to consciousness ties into who we think we are and what we think reality is. We make a lot of assumptions about that, even in physics. And some of the big assumptions start coming into front and center when we look at quantum physics. As many of you might be aware, quantum physics looks at the so-called realm of the very small. Things like electrons, photons. These are fundamental building blocks of reality, or so it was thought. Then subsequently come to find out there are little tinier things, subatomic particles. But if you just look at the basic quantum, like a photon, there are enough experiments that have been conducted in quantum physics that absolutely show that consciousness is fundamental, and who we really are is not so much the physical bodies that move through space-time. We have something more to us, much more to us than that. And right now, as we approach this age of, I consider it the quantum age, it's an awakening period of time to recognize that we human beings, we're wise humans. I like to start all my videos, hello, wise humans, because we are Homo sapiens. And when we honor the highest level potential of each and every one of us, then it's more likely that we can head toward a future that's radically positive. And I am a radical optimist in the sense that I like to ask questions that we all would love to live the answers to, such as how good can I get? How good can everything get? How good can it get, being whatever the situation is? And if you wonder what is good, it's you leave that to your highest level of self, because we do have levels of self. Even our brain is not just in our cranium. It's also, we have a heart brain and we have an enteric gut brain. And these have been scientifically validated recently. So when I do spiritual life coaching, I am basically starting by doing a blind reading on these three levels of conscious agency. It's where we observe from and the kind of realities that we subsequently see. And so in a nutshell, it's kind of a lot about me. It's not everything, but I've been writing books about what I've called reality shifts, where things seem to be appearing, disappearing, transporting, and time seems to be changing. But if you recognize, maybe it's not so much that, I mean, sure, the reality is changing, but what does that really tell us about ourselves and about reality? Maybe, like physicist Max Planck originally said, consciousness is fundamental. You can't get behind consciousness. So that's pretty much everything. But then my newest book, The Mandela Effect and Its Society, really has a lot to do with getting a side-by-side comparison of the things that we say in our regular language when we notice reality shifting and the Mandela effect occurring. There's a collective alternate memory occurring. And what does the physics say right now? So it's the current cutting edge stuff. On the cover of the book, before they won their physics award that they just won, I was honoring the concept on the cover of the book, this new one. These are Wigner bubbles. And the gentleman that came up with that term, that's Eric Cavalcanti. He and his colleagues just won some fabulous esoteric prizes that nobody outside of physics is aware of. But I'm just the fact that other physicists are actually honoring some of the people that I've been consistently tracking as I look into the books that I write. This is fabulous news for all of us. They're finally looking at the big idea. What if reality is subjective? What if it's not objective? We assume it is. We assume there's one reality. Therefore, if something changed, that's weird. If it's subjective, then the fact that I see a different history than I myself know for sure happened. Now there are two things that happened: the proof of what apparently occurred, and then what I know for sure in my own memory happened. Yes, that can happen. Also, even with the Mandela effect, where we might agree something changed, we might notice that differently. Yes, this is a subjective reality. And that's what happens when you look closely enough at the Eugene Wigner sort of, what was a question that he posed, basically saying, if there was a second level observation of an original observation, then could the two observers subsequently see two different things? And guess what? In the laboratory, that has been proven to be true in 2019. So that's the kind of stuff that experimental metaphysicist Eric Cavalcanti, and yes, he does call himself that. Yay! Experimental, meaning he can prove it. Metaphysicist, meaning he's looking at a level above the regular physics. So even amongst quantum physics, we need something to explain what we're noticing. Why is everything, so many things changing? Not everything. And then sometimes when things change, why do they change? So groups of us are noticing it, maybe not other groups. And the key to it is asking the questions you want to live the answers to, you need to live the answers to, that you would love to live the answers to. And that requires that you address the internal weird sensations when you might be feeling like today. I had a bumpy morning, but when you have a bumpy morning, you hear bad news. I'm putting quotes around it. You can look at that and say, okay, that seems not so good, but it isn't the end of things. And we can still ask, how good can it get?
Yeah, and I love that. How good can it get? It's such a profound statement, and I find myself uttering that a lot during the course of the day, even when things don't go as planned, because I always feel that even if something doesn't go as planned, there was a reason for that. And it could have been a divine reason. We just don't know. So, with all of these different time, we're going to get into the Mandela effect, but with all these different timelines kind of merging and leaking into one another, how do we benefit from that? Like, is that our destined reality, or is that just the matrix having a glitch? And like you said, there are groups of people that can see it, feel it, taste it, touch it, and others aren't aware to it.
Yeah, all of us seem to be capable of observing this. There are some people that have a tendency to be more likely to consciously recognize it. And those would be when I do the surveys to find out what do these people have in common. And other people have done studies as well. Then there's a convergence, like what's collectively acknowledged in the surveys I've done and others have done is that the people noticing this would be known as empaths or intuitive feelers, the NF part of the Myers-Briggs personality inventory, which is a free test you can take online. So you can find one and find out, like, what are you? And if you are, so the first part would be introvert or extrovert. So it's an I or an E. The NF is the second and third parts. That's intuitive feeler. And the significance of the intuitive feelers is that these are people who are more likely to be observing themselves at different levels of conscious agency. Like I said, we have got a brain in the cranium, you have a brain in your heart, you have a brain in the gut, the enteric brain. So when people say, that's great. They're bringing it all together and not really thinking much about it. But the truth is, you really are observing reality with at least 3 levels of conscious agency. And so that gives you the capability. I'm looking at this as a mathematical, philosophical physics type of view. And so from the inventor of calculus. That's one of the two inventors. There, of course, one of them is Sir Isaac Newton. The other, the one I'm talking about, is Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz, who's the inventor of science as we know it. And we use his notation for differentiation and integration in calculus. And if you don't do calculus, don't worry about the math. The point is, it gives you the ability to take a higher dimensional perspective of your current reality. Well, if you look at what is the Mandela effect showing us, it's showing us humans, wise humans, Homo sapiens, that we are living in a universe, in a reality that has more dimensions than height, width, and length. And these are the things that are used in calculus. So you can calculate the volume inside of a water tank, whether it's a cylinder, which is easier perhaps to calculate just with geometry, or a little bit trickier if it has a conical shape, kind of like it's a cone at the top and it goes around. So Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz has that. We're using his notation when we differentiate and when we integrate across all of space to determine the volume. And so how do we use this with reality shifts and Mandela effects? We're doing this all the time. We're not thinking that we're doing integration or, and differentiation. It's not like that, but we're noticing that we can observe from different levels of ourself in a situation. So in one of my books, I show a butterfly landing on a finger. And if that butterfly lands on your finger, you have a first order observation that butterfly is there. And then the second order, this is Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz. This is consciousness in his definition. The second order is recognizing that something's touched my finger. That's my finger. Something touched it. That's a higher order recognition. So I want to give Gottfried some well-deserved credit for really noticing this and observing it. And it's clear to me that we're going to be looking at these levels of conscious agency because many other scientists out there are noticing that reality, even sensory scientists who study perception like vision, Donald Hoffman, for example, he says what you see is not real. That's an interpretation. It's like when you look at the desktop on your computer and there's an icon for the garbage and you put the trash into the folder and the computer throws it away. That's what we're doing with our reality. When we see it, smell it, touch it, hear it, taste it, all of that. It's Maya. It's an illusion. It's like we're inside of a dream. And that's what I'm basically showing in the books that I write, that consciousness is like a dream. Now people say, oh, it's like a computer simulation, but that's just a fancy way of saying it's a dream. To me, it's a similar analogy, except sometimes people just want there to be, some mystery programmer somewhere that created all this. I think consciousness is much more of a mystery, and I don't know if I'd want to be saying that there's a programmer here. I'm not a big fan of AI, certainly not making choices for us. So I'm much more keenly aware that this is our big time to step into our own conscious agency rather than to hand it over to artificial intelligence conscious agents, which is what's about to happen. And we're at a big decision point. So in my book, I'm writing about, let's choose a radically optimistic viewpoint for humanity. Let's choose rev humanism, not transhumanism.
Yeah, I really like that. So are we just on a mission to get to the real reality? Like what is that? So if this reality is not real, if it's like the Matrix, then what is the real reality? Do you believe we meet that when we pass? Like, or are we just on a constant mission to be in that real reality or see it?
Well, okay, it's not so much, it's like when you sleep and you dream, you say that's not real, but it is real because it's an experience. And sometimes if you wake up in a dream, which I've done, and then I'll have really real experiences. I'll have prophetic, sometimes I'll have a vision of something that could play out in so many years to come. I'll have a time marker in the dream, and I'll know that there's a decision in my waking life. So I'm starting with the dream thing. Like you could say, oh, dreams aren't real, really. But then how is it that some of us are getting such direct confirmation of things that we had no way to find out? It had to do with someone else who's doing something we didn't even know, something no one had ever told us. But now, 7 years in advance, we have the opportunity to do something that could change a whole sequence of events and help to save someone's life. 7 years. I've had dreams like that. I'm talking from experience here. So if that's
Mhm.
just a dream and not real, like really,
Yeah.
I can't say that a dream is not real. Okay. And then I'm saying waking life, this is also a dream. So it's not real, but it's consciousness. We're playing with getting to know who we really are. Like, and most of us, if this is a news flash to people to find out, you have three brains: cranial brain, a heart brain, and an enteric gut brain. You can actually think with your gut. You can think with your heart. You can think with your head.
Mhm.
And in some sense, these have time sensitivities to them, like a gut feelings, or we call it the subconscious because it's tuned into things at a slower sort of it's like a slower rate of experience, heavier, denser. And so if you clear that stuff, clear your shadow stuff in therapy, for example, then you can be free from cycles where you tend to make stupid mistakes. Anybody can make a silly mistake, and we learn as we grow. But
Mhm.
if that happens, then you can learn, I can do better. And so instead of feeling bad and getting downtrodden with coulda, shoulda, woulda thinking, where like I could have done better, should have done better, beating ourselves up, it's much
Yeah.
better just to make a choice. Like, okay, I'm going to be that person. I'm going to, from now on, I'm going to choose to be the person who's more loving, more kind. Maybe that thing wouldn't have happened to such a person. I will be that person. And so it's a difference, not beating yourself up for it, rising above that drama. But a lot of people do get caught up in drama. The drama matters because it affects how we align these levels of our own conscious agency. And we are the observer. The observation makes all the difference. So how we observe reality actually changes it. Quantum physics is showing us that. It's showing us that an observer observing an observer has a higher order. They can puppet the whole thing. So if you're
Yeah.
the higher level, higher order observer, you can change everything. You can be the radical optimist to pull everything
Mhm.
straight. And so if you notice, UFOs are stopping and shutting down nuclear tests or nuclear strikes, and then you notice, what if they have a capability to be observing at a higher order of observational agency, which I'm sure they do, then of course they can be the optimists here and pull it straight. Like, yeah, I don't think we're going to blow things up right now. And I've I've been called in on some of these sort of a waking dream scenarios where I'm informed of something like a remote view that spontaneously comes through of some world event that's not in the news yet. I don't know what's going on, but it's kind of presented like, is this okay? And I get to be that higher order observer saying, no, let's not have North Korea do something crazy like that right now.
Yeah.
Let's not.
Yeah.
And then I'll see it in the news, like nuclear situation narrowly averted, blah, blah, blah. Exactly
Yeah.
when, exactly where. Like, okay, so these dreams, they're real. And if we start recognizing, and you are brilliant, Carol Ann, because you're documenting, you're talking to experts who are pioneers in these very far out there fields. But
Yes.
when you look at these, if you start putting the pieces together, putting the dots together, start to see an amazing picture develop.
Yeah, you really do. And I noticed that that was so well said, by the way, Cynthia. You have such a way of bringing clarity to these things. So thank you for that. But I also noticed that there's such a battle between the ego. And I think that the human ego just gets in the way of all those three entities that I guess we could call them states of consciousness: our heart, our brain, our awareness. And it just seems like as humans, we're battling constantly between ego and this higher state of functioning. How can we be better at not letting the ego get in the way of enlightenment and awareness?
Right. That's a deceptively simple question, Carol Ann. Brilliant question. Because we could spend a lifetime trying to answer that.
True,
It's like,
true.
let's count the ways. Basically, I like cheat cards. Like if you look at the seven deadly sins, you can say like, okay, let's not do those. And then similarly
Yeah,
with the Buddhist torments, hundreds of Buddhist torments, let's not do those. And so then you
yeah.
start noticing like, okay, so I won't do those things. But how do I not do those things? And so a lot of these are habituated patterns of behavior. That's why it could go on a
Mhm.
lifetime to sort of sort it out, because we're taught how to respond to events. We're taught by our parents and our caregivers and our culture
Yes.
that if something goes wrong, you get angry or upset or hurt, and we're taught these responses. And that may sound like a weird thing for me to be saying, but for anyone
Mhm.
but for people who practice a very deep, like a Zen meditative practice, that kind of thing, where you're essentially slowing your thoughts down to a stop and getting into a stillness, which I've heard Generation Z is getting into this. They'll turn everything off for 15 minutes. They'll sort of scoot around, and sometimes they film themselves doing this, which is a little bit different, but okay.
Yeah.
But the point is that I like the direction it's going. They're recognizing there is a there, that when you turn everything off and you shut down everything and you go into a stillness place, preferably
Mhm.
don't even record yourself. I would recommend leave that off too.
Right.
Strikes me as funny,
Seems kinda
but
odd.
yeah, I know. Generation Z. Anyway,
Yep.
they're sweet. But the thing is, when you recognize, oh, I can do that. I can shut this down. I can, and if you really succeed and stay in there for, there's not a time limit I'd recommend, but if you can, for me personally, when I've gone a little past 20 minutes, then I'm definitely there have been many times when I'm definitely reaching a very deep place of pure love, timeless, eternal, infinite kind of beingness. So that touchstone, and I have a benefit from my born aware memory. It's like I've got one foot kind of in eternity. That's a cheat there too. I know that because I know what it feels like to be between lives. Feels great. Fortunately, I don't remember it quite fully. And when I meditate, then I'm kind of back in that. Feels so good.
Mm.
But that is the comparison. So when you realize that's love, that's safe. And the stronger you get soaking in that and strengthening yourself with that awareness, then when you come back into this sort of a duality of the physical, mortal existence where things can go quote unquote wrong, and we do feel frightened and sad and angry. We have all these negative dragging down emotions that mess up our high vibe when we're trying to manifest and that kind of stuff. Yeah, they do. But still, we're coming out of this sort of beautiful vacation for 10, 15, 20 minutes where we've slowed everything to a complete stop with stillness. And whatever happens is perfect. You don't judge it. But if you do get that feeling of that love that's just radiating outward, then for sure you're transforming everything that you're facing right now. So it's a very transformative experience. That would be my short answer, besides the cheat codes of just don't do the 7 deadly sins, don't do the hundreds of Buddhist torments. And then what you do want to do is steep yourself in the true identity of everything that really is changeless, because that would be the infinite, eternal soul, spirit, love that you are. That the awareness and everything else is illusion. All the rest of it basically is like a dream. It's like a construct of some sort.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
that's
what
so true.
these higher dimensional beings, I think a lot of them are showing us that. They're just waiting, and they're the best teachers because we need to learn it ourselves. If they show us everything, then we're not really learning it properly. So if you're
That's
wondering
so
what,
true. That's
yeah,
so true. Now, reality made a statement here. A Hoikya spirit acts like I'm not familiar with that term. Acts like a capacitor, which allows the signal to pass through while preventing high current. Are you familiar with that term?
it sounds like tricksters, and you've heard tricksters,
Mm,
right, Carol Ann? So it's almost like a spirit that's allowing. It's almost like the going to something to such an extreme that it's ridiculous, and then you can laugh about something and it blows the energy off. Like laughter is really good when you can see like that's ridiculous, and everyone has permission to laugh at the clown who's doing
mhm,
something. It's like reductio ad absurdum is what they call it in Latin in science. When you take something to its logical limit to such a degree that it becomes outrageously silly, and like nobody would believe that, but then that's what everyone does believe. When you take something that's so obvious, and it's a way of pointing it out. But if you can do it with a laugh, which I think a lot of the Hayoka spirit strives to do, is to kind of show like this is something that we can entertain. It can entertain us, and we can laugh at what we're afraid of. We can laugh at what we're angry about. We can laugh at what's making us sad. And through that laughter, there's a release of that energy. And so that is that acting like a capacitor. So it can handle really intense times. And I think most of us, if you go through dark times, really dark nights of the soul, then you might notice that there's sort of a gallows humor that some, like people in the ER, doctors who are trying to save people's lives, and they don't do it every
Yeah.
time. They have to have a dark humor. And that's a good thing. You need that. It's that Hyoka spirit, it's the
Yeah. Yeah. You have to
capacity.
have ways to protect yourself. And I love lucid dreaming too. Definitely something that I wished I had more of a capacity to do. Uh, how how are you with lucid dreaming? Is that something you can set your mind and intention to do, like before you go to bed at night? Maybe astral travel. Like, how are you with that?
Yeah, something. Well, it varies. The truthful answer is some days I have a high intention. I will do this, and other days I'm just so tired. And
Yeah.
but then I get help in the dreams if I need. I actually do need to do things in dreams on the lucid level when I'm asleep, and I'll have dream assistants who, like recently, I had a Saint Bernard dog padding along. It's not my dog, and I've never seen a Saint Bernard, but I think it was the actual Saint Bernard showing up like a dog, like, I'm here with you. I felt the love, and I was in someone
Mhm.
else's house in the dream, and I was following someone, and I had something to do, and I'm just so tired, and the floor was so clean and fluffy. This person is a meticulous person, and so I just lay down on this soft, fluffy carpet, and the Saint Bernard lay down next to me. But the Saint Bernard kept me awake. So I'm in a dream, wanting to have another dream, and the Saint Bernard is there, kind of keeping the charge, so I'm still awake. And then I started receiving the kind of messages that it's like getting a telephone call in a lucid dream, and I got a
Yeah.
real-time connect from other people that were connecting with me in the dream. And so
Mm,
it's a fun, I think
it
people talk
is.
about on the telepathy tapes that kids go to a place on the hill. It's like accessing, if you don't need internet, you don't need cell phones. There is an internet, and you can actually find out what's going on, what you need to know, what's best for you, and all of that's going to be possible always, through dreams, through lucid dreams. So on a good day, I have helpers, or I go into it smooth. On a great day, then I'm in the daytime, like right now, I'd be telling you, Carol Ann, we're in a dream right now, and I'd be feeling it. And then it's like riding a wave. The manifesting is super cool. It means that how good can it get thing starts manifesting. Like a missing package that I just talked to the mailman before we connected today. He said, I don't know what happened, Cynthia. I put it in the mailbox, and then I'm like, I don't know, it vanished. I didn't tell him everything I do. I had to be here on time for this call, so I'm dashing back. But I'm like, I got to talk to him some more about this. It's very, but because that happened, it's exciting. It can show up. So I can know this is a dream. Therefore, it's possible I can go back in that garage in the reality where now I find the package that vanished a day or two ago, went through the slot and vanished, into
Mm,
like the Schrodinger's cat, superposition of states. Package is
yeah.
there and it's not there.
Not
So,
there. Yeah.
and then when I dream at night, I can take that this is a dream in the daytime, and it makes it so much easier to stay in the lucid dream state when I fall asleep at night. It's a continuation.
Mm,
It's gliding. So on a good day, I'm doing that. It's the rougher days when the Saint Bernard follows me and kind of nudges me, like, come on, there's a dream, there's a message coming through. I'm like, oh, thank you, thank you. Man, I'm tired.
yeah. 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 And sometimes, like, paying attention to those messages gets challenging, like when our humanness gets in the way because we're so concerned about busy stuff in our lives, and we often miss those moments. So I try to tune into them. Like, I'll stop what I'm doing and I'll try to set intention to tune into
Yes,
them. And that's like a great feeling too when you have that awareness. Like, that's a great feeling.
it is.
Um, let's just see what Carrie said. Our spirit is literally a star projecting us in this reality. We are avatars in this simulation. Gosh, that's so true. Don't you think that's so true?
Yeah, we literally do emit photons, and people that focus on their heart awareness, you can emit so much more photons from your heart. I cover this in my book, Or Advantage, that some people light up a room for real when they enter a dark room with no photons. You can measure, like, ooh, the room just lit up. And someone who's depressed, it's kind of like they're almost absorbing other people's
Yes.
photons. And so we
Yes.
talk about energy vampires, like, yeah, you can feel it. And some people do just offer so much. And the more love that you bring to your heart center, you actually will be luckier. You'll have more of these manifestations and intentions coming true. So living true to the knowingness, I am a star, means you can be very loving. And that love energy is in that present moment now. It's in the center chakra, the heart center, that green. This is also the fourth chakra. We're sort of in the fourth world. If you look at the Hopi story that will go through 7 worlds, like 7 chakras, we're in the fourth. The world's ended 3 times before, but we're about to move into the fifth. I'm putting my hand from the heart to the throat. We're about to start as we think it, so it is. Are we ready, humans? Wise humans, yes, we are ready. So radical optimism here, just saying, how good can it get? We are Rev Humanists. We are capable of living with quantum superpowers that I mentioned in my book about the Mandela effect. Because to me, we're seeing the toolbox of what we're capable of doing, and we can do it collectively. We're ready.
I agree. It's interesting too when you pay attention to things like, for decades, I would always joke with my husband, God rest his soul. I don't know why I always say that. I guess it's like a thing to say, right? But I mean it, of course. But like I would go in a restaurant with him and it would be empty. And then all of a sudden, like I'd turn around 10, 15 minutes later and it would be packed with people. So I would always point that out. I'd be like, Joey, don't you notice that? And like after time, because at first he would just go, oh, yeah, they saw you in here and they all came in. Like he would make a joke about it. And I would try to explain to him, no, it's just like an intention, like that you set without even being aware. And people pick up on that and they come in. And it's funny because I recently heard a story where this happened with a gentleman going to a restaurant, and the restaurant owner said to the gentleman, please come in here a few times a week. You can eat for free because there's always a trail of people that come in after you. See, and there's definitely something to that.
Yes.
People do pick up on that.
And I'd say these photons that they're starting to measure from the heart, and it can be a factor, like one person might have 3 photons per, I don't know, every second or so. And someone else could have 20,000, literally 20,000 photons per second coming off of their heart. And so that kind of flow of light is palpable. It's measurable. Yeah. And we, even though we're not walking around with little measurement devices, we are the measurement devices. And so if you feel like this restaurant's like full of good energy, right? It's that love, it's that light. Yeah. And you can literally feel it.
Oh, yeah. There's something definitely to that.
Yeah. And it's good for business. True.
Yes, absolutely. It's good for everybody. It's good for everybody. So what prompted you? You've been studying the Mandela effect and having these conferences, and you're like one of the leading authorities out there. And you've given so many beautiful examples in your book for folks that, need to understand more about exactly what it is. So I'm sure everyone in the chat knows about the Mandela effect, but give us just like a 360 overview for folks that are listening. Maybe they're like, the what? And I know Nelson Mandela, but what is that? So give us just a quick summary.
Okay. Well, a 3 words definition, my definition, not what you might see elsewhere, but eventually, hopefully, it'll catch on. Collective alternate memory is what a Mandela effect is. So it means a collective means at least 2, 3, maybe 100 or 1,000 or 2,000 people, who knows, some large number of people have a collective memory that's different than historical evidence suggests. So this can show up lots of different ways. You can go, in my book, I show how to do a little safari through the grocery store. There's a thicket of stuff at the grocery store. You can see all kinds of products that if you look closely, it's like, is this really what you remember, or did it seem different to you? And so many things seem different. So it could be, and these are products usually, like Febreze has a different spelling. Coca-Cola, the hyphen's different. So many things have changed in all sorts of ways. Captain Crunch is now Cap'n Crunch. I remember Captain. That one is a big one for me. I would have been offended to see Cap apostrophe N. What is this? I was a child looking at the cereal box, spelling it CAPTAIN.
Yes, that was my favorite cereal. Yep.
Yeah, and so having a little hyphen would be like, that would be bad. Like, why are they teaching us bad spelling? Why did they choose to put the hyphen there? I would have been asking those questions. Is that correct hyphenation? Why don't we see other words do that? No. So I'm just picking on that one because that was a big one for me.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
That one gets me. Kit Kat, I think that used to have a hyphen.
Yep.
Yeah. So just a lot of things in the grocery store. Oh, of course, in America, we would have Thanksgiving on the third Thursday of November, which now apparently it never was. And we would have Stouffer's stovetop stuffing, which now has only ever been Kraft stovetop stuffing. And I remember
That's
the ads on
crazy.
TV, Stouffer's stovetop stuffing. It's like, oh,
Absolutely.
that's so cute. Stuff.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Perfect marketing. Yeah, just weird stuff. And then the logo on the Fruit of the Loom
That's
had
a
a
big one.
cornucopia. Yeah, the cornucopia. So a lot of these big ones for us, we're thinking, why would we remember a basket of fruit that has no basket? That's crazy. Yeah, Jiffy. A lot of people remember Jiffy peanut butter. Thank you. I remember that too.
Yeah,
Um,
there's a lot of them.
yeah, so it's just that the grocery store is just a hotbed of these things. And
Yeah. I'm getting so many great comments. I love
nice.
it.
Love it too.
Yeah, I love it. I'm gonna have
So
to go back and catch up on a lot of them. But
but
you know what?
it's more than the grocery store. Yeah, and you mentioned
Yeah.
Nelson Mandela. For people who've never heard of this, it's called the Mandela effect because some people remember that Nelson Mandela died in the 1980s. Some people are very specific. 87. Like, okay, 1987 could have been. Not sure about the year, but I know that he was incarcerated on Robbins Island and there was he died. I was wondering, what was he killed? What happened? I wanted to know. He's in jail. What happened? And that was never really clarified. And then his wife, Winnie, had to deal. There was just a nightmare that she went through in that reality. It was not just the press getting flooded with all that, but here she is waiting for her husband to be released at some point. Now
Yeah.
he's dead. And now she has to fight to get his possessions and things. And it turned nasty. There was this whole legal kind of an angle, but none of that ever happened. I'm mentioning these other details because so many of us remember the vigil,
I do.
the huge it made a big impact on the world in 1987. But
Mm.
now, not only did he not die, but Nelson Mandela went on to become the president of South Africa. And this came to my attention when I heard he was on a speaking tour in England. And I was like, that's when it was like, wait a minute, he's alive? It just seemed weird. But he's not the first one who was alive again for me. Jane Goodall was another one, big one. And she recently
Yeah.
passed away. And then there have been others, but you get the idea.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that was definitely an event that I distinctly remember that he was in jail, Nelson Mandela. And, there was a lot of events. And it's funny because we always just shrug it off, like when we hear and see these things. And you mention so many of them in your book. Um, I'm just looking through your list here. It's incredible. And I love your exercises in here too, because it's good. It kind of like jolts
Yeah.
your memory. Do you think that those simple, like grocery store type examples are just glitches, kind of like leaking through into our reality, or are they like why? I understand the principle and the whole thing, but the why still
Yeah.
confuses me.
I delved into that in my first book, Reality Shifts. I wanted to know. It's the same thing. Reality shifts. That is Mandela effect. When we have a personal Mandela effect, then it's on the order of what I was writing about in Reality Shifts. So it's not. It could be a collective one, but could also be something very personal, very significant for yourself. And so when I was looking at that question, why is this happening? What's going on? The answer I got back was cause. You know,
Ah,
to accept the responsibility, the honor, the mantle that you're not just the dumb non-player character or NPC avatar.
mhm,
You are
mhm.
a creator avatar. You are an avatar with these levels of conscious agency. So you are the puppet master of your own puppet. You're the playing piece in the dream. Like I am Cynthia, the mortal physical being, but I'm also Cynthia, the eternal infinite being. I'm both, and I know that. And I also operate through all these realities. So that's what it's really showing us in a very gentle, playful way, is saying, do you notice yet? It's like a sandbox of, like a playground. these things are changing, these little things that can be annoying or they can be fun or they can be wonderful or
Mhm.
miraculous, but they're showing that there's something bigger happening in consciousness, these other levels of conscious, I'm calling them conscious agency, other levels of dimensional competence, that
Mm.
we're seeing it when, like I use this example of the UFO. It was going to, it showed up at a nuclear test, and then the demolition or the the nuclear strike did not occur. Everything was shut down. So that's an obvious case of what the heck is going on. And
Yeah.
these UFOs are acting quite interdimensional. What
Mhm.
what if our next step on our evolutionary path is to move into these higher dimensional realms? And what it looks like is we are given quantum superpowers, such as teleportation,
Mhm.
bilocality, quantum tunneling, all these things. And,
Mm.
and so that's why I'm sharing examples of that in my book,
Yeah.
things that have happened to me that I personally experienced, and things that look quite clear from quantum physics itself. Like, you can expect to see this on every level, not just the so-called quantum scale, but beneath the Planck, constant. So
Mm.
if so, in other words, it's happening at the scale of a cat or a human being. Schrodinger's cat experiment was proposed by the physicist Erwin Schrödinger, and
Mhm.
he was pointing out the ludicrousness. Like, we're talking about a little quantum particle, could either be a particle or a wave, but how can
Right.
that be? How can it be in a superposition of states like that? And he said it's just as the most ridiculous thing. So he's taking it to an extreme and saying, what if this is a cat inside of a box? And the cat's life, whether it's alive or dead, depends on whether a radioactive isotope decayed or not. So you got a little quantum particle there. And if it decays, then it triggers the mechanism that breaks the glass, releases the poison, and the cat dies. And you don't know until you open the box. So that's the Schrodinger's cat experiment, trying to point out the ludicrousness that,
Yeah.
we can't be living in a quantum world, yet we are. And our technology is increasingly depending on it. So we're getting to a point where we collectively can't pretend that this isn't happening on every single level, including the
Mm.
cosmic. And so when people look like Mandela effect people who are doing the research and tracking these strange phenomena, they'll say, we are in a different part of the universe than we used to be. We used to be, you know, like way far out on a spiral arm. And now we've moved toward the center. And because people remember Carl Sagan showing on a map on
Yeah.
TV, like, here's where you are. So
Right.
that's how this is huge. And our
It is.
bodies are changing. Our organs are changing. They're not where they used to be. The heart's moved to the center, the kidneys have moved upward. There are physiological changes in affecting billions of human beings on the planet right now, across the board, apparently instantly.
Mm. My dog. I think Chris mentioned Anatra. I probably said his last name wrong. Is it Anatra? I know he pronounces it
Anatra. He pronounces it
Anatra.
Anatra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he mentioned that the heart's moving back again, that
It's
it
done a
wasn't.
little, yeah, it's moved a little. It's, yeah, I
That's
was not
so
going into
unbelievable.
it. Well, things do change, and I've seen that with the
Yeah.
personal Mandela effects and the collective
Right.
ones. Like
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A also went back and forth through several iterations. Hearts moved a few times. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. It's so
It,
amazing.
so it was way to the left, then it went to the center, then it seemed like it moved a little bit back to the left. It's doing a little dance. So who knows?
I'm glad Patsy brought this up because she checked eBay and there's a vintage 1958 Jiffy T. See, there's so much proof out there
Right.
um, for both ways of like remembering things or several ways. I guess it depends on what it is. But that's cool. That is cool. She saved it. I do that too, and especially with the Fruit of the Loom thing because I remember so clearly and vividly the cornucopia.
Yes.
I It's clear as day. And then the Monopoly with the monocle, that's like a whole nother. There's so many of them. There's so many of them. But I wanted to go back to what you said before because it really resonated with me. And I found it to be so profound, and I don't want to glaze over it. When I asked you why, you said because.
Yes.
That just blew me away because it seemed to be like the best answer that you can give when asking that question.
Yes,
Wh-
absolutely.
Did that come to you as like a download or something? Or
Yeah, I was writing the book Reality Shifts, and it was bothering me a lot. This was back in the 1990s. I had watched the
yeah.
actor. There was a TV actor. He played J.R. Ewing,
Oh yeah, that
the
whole
Dallas.
murder thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like who shot J.R.?
Who shot AR?
And I'm dating myself. But honestly, that was when this was going on. So that
Yeah.
actor, and he was in I Dream of Jeannie too.
Oh yeah.
Uh, yeah, I'm trying to
Very
remember his
famous
name.
dude.
Yeah,
Larry Hagman.
that's
Yeah.
it. Thank you. So, but we don't call it the Hagman effect, even though it's not just me.
Right.
Other people also noticed that he died. He died. He died in the 80s, and then he was alive again, just like Nelson Mandela died in the 80s.
Mm.
He was alive again. So did Larry Hagman, and other these have happened. I've been seeing Mandela effects all my life. So if people say, "Ah, it's 1987," well, not so fast because I've had some in the 60s. I mentioned it in my book that my own personal history, and other people have had them. Like
Mhm.
Carl Jung definitely had a Mandela effect in the 1930s, and then there were people that were tracking them in the early 1900s. So just
Mhm.
because we didn't have the internet doesn't mean it wasn't happening. But
Exactly.
yeah, that was so weird though. The whole thing with yeah, Larry Hagman, that was shocking. I forget why we're talking about that. How
About
did I
the
get there?
because thing. The because.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yes, because okay. Yeah, it was bothering me. Like I was realizing in the 1980s, this is a real phenomenon. I've heard a song that I was so sick of, and then the radio, the announcer says, "For the first time, I'll play this new song." I'm like, I'm all excited to like hear it. Like, oh, not that. And then I realize he thinks he's playing it for the first time.
Oh
So
my.
so in the 70s and the 80s, I was watching this, and it came to sort of a boiling point when I went through my Kundalini awakening, and then the whole phenomena ramped up incredibly for me personally. I couldn't avoid it anywhere I went. So I was asking, it was a download. I'm asking, why is this going on? And the answer was because
Mm.
it's just saying, take responsibility, little human. It's time. It's kind of like we've been children on this planet. It's time to be the wise humans as we were named. It's time to step into that and acknowledge
Mm.
that we're not just little pawns being pushed around on a playing board, and it's not them doing this to us. I mean, we can look at it that way. We can say, oh, they did this, and the powers that be, and politicians, and whatever.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Of course we can say that. That's not what I'm getting when I go directly to source to find out what's happening. Then I get because step into the full power, these quantum superpowers that we've all been given access to, that we're starting to recognize. What if we are the ones that we've been waiting for? What if we are the
Right.
ones who are
Right.
doing these amazing things just because? And it's a confusion to us because we do have a brain in our cranium, we have a brain in our heart, and we have a brain in the gut, and so
Mhm.
we can surprise ourselves. We can startle ourselves. With three brains, you can do a lot of things, and you
Oh
can be
yeah.
caught off guard, and you can see history change. You can see a reality shift,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and you can keep asking, how good can it get, and keep raising the vibratory frequency of anything that's going on. And if you think like, I don't know what good is, well, you do know what good is at your highest level, because that's what we call fate, is when those highest levels orders of conscious agency are calling the shots. They can see beyond the limited little three dimensions that we're
Mhm.
moving through in our linear time, in our mortal existence. They can
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
far beyond that. They can see all the permutations.
Oh sure. Not to sound like a cynic, but I had a kind of a little bit of a revelation. I kept hearing we're in the great awakening. We're in the great awakening, and like everybody's saying that. This is the great awakening. So I started thinking about it, and I just couldn't help but see the way some humans are behaving globally. Not very good. So I started thinking maybe it's not an awakening, but an awareness. I think a lot of people are becoming aware and they're confusing it with becoming awake. Like I associate awakening with spirituality, like a kundalini awakening or some type of like inner consciousness development growth. But I think when people use that term, oh, I'm having an awakening, I think it's more of an awareness. Not that awareness is bad. I think awareness is good. So I think a lot of people are becoming more aware of truths, of like discovering their truth, whatever that may be. Am
Yeah.
I wrong in thinking that?
Oh, well, it's always a little it's interesting to look at other people because then it's easier to spot things that we might be doing, but until we have that mirror, we can't really tell.
Right.
And people love AI for that. They're saying, "Oh, it's such a mirror." Well, reality's a mirror. You've already got the
Right.
mirror. To me, it's a better mirror than AI, but
Yeah.
that's just me
Yeah.
personally. But yeah, you can look at the awareness thing and then realize, okay, if I'm aware that these are my fingers and this is my body, but
Mhm.
now Cynthia and Carol Ann are saying this is a dream. And Cynthia says that she's holding her hand up, but she's dreaming she's holding her hand up. And so there's the awareness of it. The awakening happens when you know that you are the master of yourself
Right.
at all these levels of conscious agency going up, 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 way up.
Exactly.
And so then there's no more excuses of they did this to me or you're lucky or you're doing better than me. You don't need to compare anymore
Right.
because when you actually do this, then you're right, Carolyn. Then you're going from the beginning of awareness. The awakening itself is realizing this goes all the way up,
Yes.
and then you can't really blame other people or be jealous, uh,
Exactly.
and you can't
Exactly.
fall into those little traps of the seven deadly sins.
Right.
The gluttony, the greed. I don't remember what they all are, but you get the idea.
Yeah. Like judgment,
Right,
judging other people just disappears
right,
when you see and when you're in tune with your spirituality. There's no more judging. Like you'll see all over the internet, everybody is so angry because people are stealing and all this stuff, and everybody is just mad and angry. And like you can't judge people because you don't know what their situation is. Not that I'm making excuses for bad behavior because I'm not, but I'm not here to judge that. I'm
right.
not here to judge your behavior. I have my own behavior and you have yours, like consequences, like we all have to suffer the consequences of things, right?
Right. And there's so much the energy that's kind of people are seeming crazy right now. And so the news headlines are a bit nutty. And we'll see probably more of that because the Earth's geomagnetic field is kind of going down.
Yes.
And as the solar energy and the energy from the galactic center is going up, and then the poles are shifting and everything. So there's a lot happening. And amidst all this chaos, it's more and more beneficial to do these sort of meditation to slow your thoughts down to a
Yes.
standstill, to recognize I'm just going to have peace inside myself. I'm choosing that for me. I'm not going to throw fuel on the fire for anybody else's.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right.
And that affects, the global consciousness. I believe it
Right.
absolutely does. So reality is asking about the 100th monkey effect, and I've heard of that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's similar in physics to a pilot wave. If you follow David Bohm and the holographic interpretation, you can look at pilot wave is like a strange attractor in chaos theory. So what that means is you can have a minority influence and totally shift the dynamic of everything. And
Mm,
that's actually what my life purpose is all about. So I'm feeling like, yeah, way into that. I've known when I started this career that I'm on that is kind of out there. When a literary agent looked at my first book, she said, "Can't you write something that she saw about the book about reality shifts?" And thought that's too out there.
oh,
That was it was before What the Bleep Do We Know? It was before The Secret, before all that stuff. And I said, well, it's kind of important. It's what I'm all about. And she
yeah.
said, write a book about the aura, something that we can all agree on.
Oh,
I said,
jeez.
I know. And bless her heart, she was a good literary agent and retired now. She was awesome. So she was giving guidance, in the marketplace that she was working in. She can't sell a book wherein publishers are going to look at it like, what is this? What is this?
Right.
What's this nonsense
Understandable.
that
Yeah.
you're being caused? And, now it's starting to make sense. And I mean, I think it made sense even back then this was in the the late
Sure.
90s.
Yeah. Hey,
But
look, I remember I couldn't talk about the topics like these back then because people would think you were crazy. That it just wasn't widely accepted. They would think you were nuts.
But the fact that people are listening to your show, reading my books, it's a niche
Yeah.
market right now. It's not the majority of people, but
Right.
that's starting to change. And people
Yeah.
are, so it starts, that's the 100th monkey question. So you've got an island, and on one island, the monkeys are washing, it's like one monkey is sort of washing its food before it eats it, and then two monkeys, and they're teaching each other. And what's interesting is on a neighboring island, these monkeys are not swimming from island to island. So the
Mhm.
question is, what does it take? Is there some sort of a tipping point, if you will, of consciousness where you have a certain number of monkeys on the first island learning to wash fruit? How many monkeys does it take washing their fruit on the adjacent island before island number 2, which has no monkeys washing fruit, starts picking up this new behavior?
Yeah.
And I don't know if it really is 100 of them or not, but this is the idea. When you get to
Yeah.
a certain number, and it's a minority, it's not the majority, it's like 100
Mhm.
monkeys out of thousands, then suddenly it catches fire and it goes. And that's because we are telepathic. We are intrinsically a social, animal or being. So
Mhm.
we love community, and we're much more telepathic than we realize. A lot of our superpowers are shut down, and they're starting to prove that now. Like
Absolutely.
we've got the ability to do things psychokinetically, and you can activate them by creating a brain lesion in the brain to turn off the brakes in our brain that's been set
Yeah.
up so that we don't change our reality with our thoughts. So, people want to bend spoons and stuff. It's much, apparently we're all set up for it, but we've been slightly, the brakes have been
Yeah.
applied.
It's interesting because I've seen and I interviewed a woman, who was capable of doing that. She can use her energy to move wind and she's legit. She's the real thing. So
Yeah.
I also saw, which goes to your point, every living creature on this planet has this ability because I saw fruit flies being trained in a jar to not travel like a certain distance above this point that they set. And do you know when they die, the next generation of fruit flies do the same thing? They will
Wow.
not travel above. I mean, it's a long, complicated study, but it's not complicated, but there's a lot more to it than that. But I think every living thing on this planet has these abilities
Yes.
to share. Look at birds do that too. Crows are brilliant. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
just humans, right?
No, it's not.
Yeah.
There's this, it's kind of like this whole entire waking dream of animals and plants are
Yeah.
very, very interactive telepathically and
Absolutely.
psychokinetically. Yeah, they're extraordinary. I think plants are some of the greatest teachers, especially trees are the greatest
Oh, yeah.
teachers around. And but to be able to listen to them as humans, it's like a totally different wavelength. They're so different from us. So you have to
Yeah.
really be still to hear what a tree is sharing.
Yeah, and
The
it's
plant.
so true about the plants too, because I've got like
Mhm.
maybe 10, 12 plants, and I make sure I try to talk to them every day. And like
Yes.
my dog knows when I'm talking to these plants, and he'll sit and watch, and he gets a little jealous too, like when I'm talking to them, because I'm not paying attention to him. So he gets a little jealous, and I'll
Mhm.
tell him, Oliver, look at, mommy's giving plants the water, and and they know, they just intuitively know, and the plants know, they really do. They like perk up,
Yes.
and there are studies done about that as well. There are studies done about it.
I
So what did you
visited.
hope to huh?
Oh, yeah, I visited Damenher, which is where they had they created the music of the plants devices, and I've
I saw
gotten
that.
those. Yeah, they're great. And then they also had a room, apparently. I didn't visit that, but they've set it up so that the plants have control over the lock on the door. So if when a person's on the outside of the door, the plants inside the room make a choice. Is this person okay to unlock the door? Do you want to see
Hey,
them
yeah.
or not? And they know, if you've read the books like The Secret Life of Plants, or if you read,
Mhm.
and Cleve Baxter had a brilliant book about the consciousness of plants, primary consciousness. I think that was the title, primary something. Can't remember the title, but it's Cleve Baxter. He's a brilliant scientist too. These scientists have basically proven that these plants are extremely sentient, conscious beings.
Oh, absolutely.
They have
Even water.
languages.
Look at
They cooperate.
Emoto. What was his name?
Yeah.
Emoto that did the
Uh-huh.
studies with the I mean, it's just mind-boggling. So, what did you hope to do? You've written so many books, Cynthia, and you've shared so much of the best of yourself. What's your hope for all of this, especially with this new book, which I read, and I'm going to reread because I'm like
Yeah.
highlighting stuff, and it's such a wonderful, like, it's laid out so easy to read too. Like, it's very fluid in the way you go through it. What was your hope to share with folks?
And I'm hoping that people, that was a challenging book to write. Thank you for the kind words, because I want it to, I need it to be accessible to people from every level of awareness of this phenomenon. Some people, obviously, they've been tracking it. A lot of people came into the field about 10 years ago, 2015, 2016.
Mhm.
And they've been, when they first saw the Mandela effect, they were blown away. Like, this is crazy stuff.
Yeah.
So I wanted to honor all of the people who've been, there for this many years or maybe longer. Also, the people who are just new to it, who are just wondering, what is this? What's going
Exactly.
on? And I did the best I could to share the history, the science, and then the sort of background, like from the experiencing community themselves, really honoring that community. These are the people
Mhm.
that, I think this is exciting. These are the first people recognizing that we're going through an evolutionary change as humans on the planet, and we are the ones doing that. So if you're following people like Greg Braden, and he's showing like, okay, it's in our DNA, and somebody tinkered with it 200,000 years ago. But I think what Greg's really saying, I'm putting words in his mouth here, but it looks to me like he's saying, we have an opportunity now to change the whole thing. And that's the heart and soul of everything I'm doing, that we are absolutely bringing a new birth of who we really can be at our best. And we're seeing it with the way the physiological body is changing. I mentioned the organs moving around. So many things are changing. The planet is changing. It's kind of like we're recognizing we can change all of the things that we're most concerned about.
Yeah.
And it really helps to change the emotional setting. So we might be in shock and grief and sadness and anger,
Right.
or all these emotional heavy feelings,
Right.
but we have a capability of rising above that and really harnessing this collective alternate memory, so we can change the past for all billions of us humans on the planet. And together we have more power than any national superpower.
Mm.
Absolutely, we really do. And I mean, we, in the sense of we humans, that we
Absolutely.
together are coming into this ability to do this collectively and individually. So I'm looking to us to reclaim the divinity that I think a lot of us, it's been suppressed through, you could point fingers at political,
No.
I'm not really going into all the pointing of fingers and blaming people. So we've had a long, sad history on the planet, and I'm laughing because it's been tragic. It still continues. There are atrocities happening that shouldn't be happening.
Absolutely.
But and I'm not trying to gloss over it. I'm just saying that when you recognize that we have the collective heart-centered love for each other, and for recognizing that the relationships we have, like mine with you and you with the audience, and greeting these
Absolutely.
people by name as they come into the chat, that's everything. And there's not going to be any AI or machine or mechanistic so-called solution that will ever
Spot
be able
on.
to it'll never surpass what we're
Right.
creating right now. And it may be a small group of us, but that 100th monkey phenomenon is very real. We will reach that tipping point, and we don't need a majority to bring all of humanity in a collectively better direction. And that's what I'm living for. That's what all my
Yeah.
work is about.
Gosh, that's so beautifully said. And I want people to understand the importance of your book too. I mean, this took you probably years to write and
Yes.
document.
Mm,
It's
mm.
like a lifetime's worth of work for you. And with that being said, we have the link running across the screen where they can get it. Of course, they can grab it on Amazon and wherever fine books are sold, right?
Yes, absolutely. And
Good.
I publish a monthly newsletter, so people can check that out. It's on Substack. So if you want to just go there, it's there. My website's kind of old, and I get comments all the time like, that's an old website. But then when I say this is an archive, I've got 25 years of monthly documented first person accounts of reality shifts and Mandela effects, showing the
Mm.
location, where it happened, what they were
Mhm.
thinking, what they were feeling. And so it's an archive, and that's kind of irreplaceable.
Oh gosh, yeah. Gosh. So yeah, folks, show show Cynthia some love and definitely check out her website. You can get her book and her audiobook on Amazon as well. And I wanted to address Sky Girl. Oh, no, wait, I'm sorry. Somebody said, oh, here, Chris, that your plants have no reaction to loving talk. And I would have to disagree with that. And I know for a fact that they do. And to me, it's like an important point to clarify, because I had this one money tree that I bought probably 30 years ago. It was this big. It was the
Oh,
tiniest thing. And I kept it all these decades later, and it meant a lot to me because I bought it with my husband. Now the thing grew to like 6 feet tall. It's amazing. But me and my infinite wisdom, I thought, oh, let me put a bigger pot and get better soil. And when I did that, the plant hated it. It just lost all of its leaves, and it was in such distress, and it was heartbreaking to me because it meant so much. So I went and talked to it every day when I watered it, and I kind of explained why I did what I did. I know it sounds cuckoo, but this plant has come back to life now, and it's growing new sprickets and leaves, and because I talked to it. So I just wanted to throw that out there for Chris. Don't give up on your plants. Talk to them, show
yeah.
them some love, because they do know. They do know.
Absolutely. Yeah, they do. And
Yeah.
you can't save every plant, unfortunately, but sometimes, and so it can be
Absolutely.
disappointing. Yeah, don't blame yourself either if you feel like I'm just no good at this. Keep
Right.
trying.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like with us, when our time is ended
Yeah.
here on this planet, there's no amount of talking to that's going to change that, right?
Yeah.
So Chris, and I love referring to him. He's such a profound human, and he's got so many amazing um, newsletters and things. And I know you work closely with him, and you guys are good buddies. Um, he really is convinced that we're living in a video game, so to speak, that this reality is really truly like a matrix, and it's like a video game with controllers. And I have a little bit of a struggle with that. Well, I do think it's not the reality we think it is, but I'm not so sure about the video game thing. What do you think?
We're such good causal agents. We can create anything, including, those, good guys, bad guys, and even the AI overseers and everything. So, it can all.
More.
So I guess I'm not trying to be evasive.
No, no, no.
But to me, it looks like that. It looks like it ties back into the trickster phenomenon too. And we can have very high level creations. It does look to me like there's a collective subconscious that creates a very dark inversion energy on the
Mhm.
planet, very suppression energy. Some of it feels mechanical, it feels mechanistic, it feels like
Yes,
there's
it
a machine.
does.
And it gives the feeling like you need to do like Neo in the Matrix and escape the machine,
Yeah.
which, so there's that vibe, but that mechanistic undercurrent. Guess what? I believe we actually did create that too. So I'm saying like, okay, I think that's us. I'm raising my hand like, okay, that's us too. So let's change it. That if it is
Mm,
this collective subconscious, which I think it is, then that's good news. I know at first it's like, that's overwhelming. It's this huge inversion cloud of energy. And
yeah.
I love the work of Kingsley Dennis, he wrote a great book about the inversion, citing the work of Carl Jung and and Philip K. Dick and a bunch of others. But the idea that this thing is too big to deal with, that's where I disagree. And that's where my radical optimism kicks in. How good
Yeah.
can it get? And it's like, oh yeah, well, it may think it's bigger than any one of us, but together we're bigger than it. And what
Yes.
if we start recognizing maybe we did create this inversion energy, this collective subconscious of our collective 7 deadly sins and hundreds of Buddhist torments and all of our grief and shame and blame and
Right.
coulda, woulda, shoulda. What if we recognize we're going to clean that up? We're going to say, we are, because we're taking that on ourselves, and we are going to claim it and help each other and pull each other up by the bootstraps. I know any one individual could feel overwhelmed by this. When you really look at that inversion energy, it's dark stuff. But again, collectively, it's the 100th monkeys again. We the beings that recognize we are the wise humans. We can be the cause that starts to show that we're going to live the waking dream of how good can it get.
Mm,
not just for me, but it has to be for all of us. It isn't any good unless
Absolutely.
it's for every one of us.
Gosh, I love that. I do, and it resonates to be just true, you know? Maybe we did create this reality, but we can certainly uncreate it and change it, right? Do you think we're also responsible for creating, like, what people in high strangeness call demons and
Mm,
cryptids and all this dark stuff? Do you think we're responsible for creating that? Because it's true that there are tulpas and things that are created that we create, like what was it? The tall man, I think, is a tulpa that we created. You know, they so much talk about it on the internet, and then all of a sudden it comes to fruition. It
sure.
comes to be true. So do you think we create our own darkness?
We're capable of that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but there are beings other than humans, so and operating at levels beyond what we are very good at comprehending. We're sort of dealing with our own humanness and struggling with that.
Mm,
But there are definitely others. Like you see it with the beings that visit in UFOs. You see it with some of the not just the Sasquatch, but I guess they're called the ancient ones.
yeah,
They
yeah.
look, yeah. So they're not just cryptids. It's unfair to lump them together with
Yeah.
animals or some
No, I never
creatures.
thought
So
that was true. They're like
yeah.
a different species, maybe interdimensional,
Mhm.
or well, you
Yes.
recently had an encounter.
Oh my gosh. Yes. It was, and I not even seeking it, not even wasn't on my radar, wasn't on the bucket list, nothing like that. I mean, my intention was after running of the CE5 with Paula Harris, and we'll be doing that again in May and August of 2026, Crestone, Colorado, high desert, 14,000 feet, and it's the dark sky place in America where you can go and
Wow.
witness just beautiful, clear Milky Way. You can see everything. So I had run the CE5. We'd had an amazing evening. That would take like 20 minutes to run through that whole thing, but it was extraordinary. So after that, I thought, okay, that was great. And I'm going to do even more decompression and just be with nature. I was also visiting family. So I was in far north Washington state, and I found a place at an Airbnb that looked to it was, oh, it's just fed my soul. I just saw nothing but trees, lakes, trees, and then you're
Mm,
looking off north to Canada.
nice.
Like perfect. Okay, perfect. And I just like to just extend my energy field and just sink into the land and feel just the beauty of you know, all that bliss from the nature. That's what I was doing. And in the process of doing that, surprisingly, I was talking. There were three other people there with me, and one of the other people said the word Bigfoot. I don't know why. And as that word was spoken, a light shone about this big. I think we were up on the fourth story of a very tall structure, so it's about 50 feet, 60 feet down. It's twilight. You can't really see anything. There's nobody there, but there's this glowing white orb of light in the forest. And
Mm,
it was like 1,000 gone. And I said, "Did you see that?" And she said, "No." "What?" And so I described it, and we were quiet. We just looked silent. And then we started talking again. And I don't know if it was me or I don't know who said the word interdimensional. That word was spoken, and about, I don't know, 12, a dozen feet over to the right, a similar, could be the same one, light, an orb just shone, just blazing bright, one, 1,000, two, like 2 seconds, and then gone.
mhm.
And those lights came back on another night, but and then that was really different. They that was like 20 or 30 minutes straight and lighting up the entire interior of the room that we were in as it was with our conversation. It was so when I extended my telepathic awareness to greet whatever this was, that's when I started realizing this is a being that's there, that's
Wow.
aware of what we're saying, and that's saying Bigfoot, interdimensional. It's like, hello, you know. That is amazing to be
It
tracking
is.
with our conversation, to be that spot on. And they were making a sound. I was there for about 5 days straight, and so at the beginning, I had such a rich experience with them in a very short time period, and felt so much love, just so much love, which I'd also been feeling in Crestone. And when I had this tree people experience, I didn't know at the time that there was a UFO connection. So I mean,
Wow.
I was really not aware of this, but I got a sense of their smell. I got a smell of cooking. I felt like I was in there. I was like telepathically smelling their home. It smelled
Oh, wow.
like them. I smelled their food, and they just, and then they present it. They're so telepathic. It's like they present it like, here's the smell, and then it's like my reception. And I know they're watching, and I have no time to. I can't like doctor my response. It's my raw response. My response was family. Part of what the smell smelled a little bit like wet dog, but I love the musky smell of our. We had a dog.
Yeah.
I love it. So to me, it was just family, and then they just hugged me back telepathically, family.
Wow.
And then a whole series of other things instantly started happening all around the world. They are so telepathic, so connected. I am blown away by these are obviously not just some lumpy, clumpy Bigfoots, things that you pursue it's nothing like that at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear so many different tales about them, and visitations all over the world, even in remote, very remote places like Antarctica and stuff. They're just everywhere. Do you
Yeah.
think that they're different? That they're just different types of
Mm.
species because they're described differently? Some are, I guess, depending on what region they're seen in. But then we see footprints of them too, so they have to have some type of physical appearance, right?
Yeah, I think it's a glimpse of where humans are heading. I don't think they're exactly humans, but they're pretty darn close. I didn't
Mm,
actually see one except telepathically. So, but I saw trees tied in knots. I didn't know what I was looking. I wouldn't have taken a picture because I thought that's ugly. Now I'm like, oh my God, that was like
yeah,
I
yeah,
did not know what I was, the whole thing was like, I just landed in it inadvertently and came to find out uh, that they make a very powerful connection.
mm,
That they're so telepathic, and when you greet them as family and they greet you as family, they mean it. Because what happened? The thing I'm referring to is that I had a friend who was sick, and I didn't know she was sick. I live in Berkeley. She lives in a different part of California,
mhm,
and so when I came back from my trip up to Washington State, then I found out she'd been sick. But I talked to her about these tree people, and she was telling the reason. Oh boy, it's so convoluted. Everything just sort of happened at once, the way it does with
yeah,
these
yeah,
tree people. They're so instant. They're so telepathic. Her brother had been walking the Camino in Spain in a forest at night, approaching him. He had a headlamp on his head, so he making the miles as best he could to, get the miles in for the Camino walk. It's
mm,
spiritual, but you're trying to cover some ground. And then walking toward him on the trail, or he thought it was walking toward him, was a tall being with he thought it was a headlamp. It was like a bright orb. And then the being was gone and it was just the orb. And then that was gone. And then he was writing to his sister, do you know what this is? And then she told me about it. And I'm like, I think I do. And then I found out she needed healing. The whole thing is so amazing. It's kind of wraps all around and time doesn't
yeah,
make
it
sense
sounds that
anymore.
way.
Oh, yeah. That's where humans are heading. I feel like I got a glimpse of what humans we're seeing it with these tree people. Maybe they are another species. Maybe they're similar. I've been reading books by Jack Kiwani Lapsaritis, and he says that there has apparently been stories or legends of interbreeding with humans and these
Yeah,
forest people, Sasquatch, the ancient ones, that's happened. Maybe, I don't know. But in any case, it's clear that could be our future, the telepathy for sure. The
yeah,
ability to be instantly elsewhere for sure. The ability to bring healing to someone that we love. Absolutely. So these are the things that they're
yeah,
sharing it with us, and it gives us a glimpse of, are we ready to, as we think it and as we say it, it is so. Are we ready to be there? And I'm saying yes. Let's embrace that.
mm,
Let's move into this. The only people, when you're saying they're not awake, they're maybe aware. Are they ready?
mm,
Maybe that's why
yeah,
the Hopi Prophecy Rock chose the two lines. Maybe the ones that
yeah,
they're not ready yet, they get another round. No big deal. Not a problem.
exactly. Yeah, because we're all going to wake up in our own given time. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Somebody mentioned in the comments too. So many great comments, guys. I love it. about the rice experiment. I'm scrolling, trying to find, I think it was Stargirl. Somebody, wait, let me, Starlight. Here it is. Have you seen the good rice, bad rice experiment? Words of power. Yes, these two.
I don't know if it reminds me of the water words that
Is
you were
yeah,
talking about.
exactly. Same thing.
Emotives, okay. I haven't heard
Same
about that
thing.
one. I'm reading the book.
The
There's a book, if you love science and you want to read the cutting edge stuff on all those science experiments right now, it just came out. It's The Science of Magic by Dean Radin, Dr. Dean
oh, I
Radin.
heard about that. I didn't read it though.
Oh, it's out now. And so
Oh, I have to get that.
he's talking about these kinds exactly. He's going through which what was the level of efficacy and all these cutting edge powerful
Mm.
experiments. And he's definitely he's my hero in terms of the science. Oh my gosh. Just can't get any
I
better.
love that. I love that. You mentioned before that science is finally catching up to this woo-woo stuff, as they call
Yes.
it, this woo-woo science. And but the rice thing is the same. I think it was 3 batches of rice. One was spoken to lovingly, one was ignored, and the other one was spoken to hateful words. And it,
Mm.
of course, it grew mold. The
Yeah.
ignored one started growing mold. And words do have so much power. I mean, that's why they call it spelling, right? Because you really do cast a spell. You have to be so careful with the words that you say. And I'm always on a mission every day to be more conscious of that, of the words that, because like I'll do it with my kids, well, mostly like my daughter, and I'll say stuff to her and I'll go, why did I say that? I shouldn't have said that, like clean
Yeah.
up the kitchen, you slob. I mean, I don't know, like that's an awful thing to tell somebody, but yet it just comes right out of your mouth. And then, you have to catch these things when you say it and be very mindful to be kinder with your words, because
Yes.
it's, again, ego. It just, your ego because you take a personal affront at somebody not being clean when they know that bothers you. So, like, and again, it's ego. Like, we have a lot of work to do
We do.
with the ego thing. We really do.
And I think a lot of us aren't aware how telepathic we all are, because we're feeling how other people, even if they don't say it, there's the micro expressions on the face, the tone of voice,
Yes.
the all the body movements, and then there's the whole energy of it and the vibe of it. We're totally feeling it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. There's Dolly and Preston. I interview them a lot, love them dearly. But I think Dolly and Dolly is a contactee. She's um her story is so complicated, so I'm not going to get into it, but she's been having communication traveling with ET like since she's a child. But she had mentioned that she doesn't, and gosh, I'm going to have to ask her again about this, but she mentioned that things don't really vibrate, or she doesn't believe in vibration. It's more energy. But isn't energy vibration? Aren't they the same? Like, once something has energy, doesn't it vibrate? Has a resonance, like a bell? A bell vibrates with energy, right? I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm confusing the two.
You can see it differently if you're at that still point. So if you go to the place of infinite eternity, then vibration isn't happening anymore. So it sounds like Dolly has
Oh.
gone to that. And that's the thing I'm talking about. Like, I remember before I was born, I remember what that was. And oh my God, so much love. So if she's coming from
Mm,
there, she'll feel the energy.
maybe.
The vibration doesn't look like vibration there. Yeah. So it doesn't, it's not experienced that way. Time's not experienced. It's like you go into
Right.
infinity and vibration's different. But so many things happen there, and it's hard to wrap our minds around what we're experiencing. It's so different. So it sounds like she's
Yeah.
definitely she's a front runner. So she's been out
Yeah.
there experiencing, like, what if we don't call it vibration anymore? If we need new
Right.
words to describe the energy, because that stillness, that still point is amazing when you're in that. That's like the 0 point energy. It's the infinity, the eternal. So if you're
So you
in that,
stop
mm,
vibrating.
mm,
So you there's no need to
mm.
vibrate then when you're there, right? Is
Yeah,
that it?
it's like a different concept. We're gonna need new math, new language. I think
Yes.
it'll be drawing from that which always was, but so
Mm.
the indigenous people would say that there's nothing new in all of creation; it's already all there. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
and that's true. We're sort of finding it. You can draw it forth from that original creation that was always there.
Worst. Carrie says we're 70% water. We vibrate like water does with frequency. Yeah.
When we move
Yeah.
through time, we vibrate through time.
Yeah.
Vibration, it's happening over, like you see a graph of a wave function, it's going up and down over time. So the vibration is happening over time. So I know
like when you throw a rock into a lake and it vibrates, ripples.
Yeah,
that's like a vibration, right?
Right. It's rotations per RPM, like on a record, RPM, if you remember the records, like 33 and
I sure do.
Okay. So if you know that, that's revolutions per minute, right? Or
yeah.
So it's kind of like you're seeing that. We see revolutions per minute on everything that rotates. So these oscillations and vibrations, they're moving through time. So energy
isn't it true when you take a video like of a car and you just speed it up and it gets to a point where it becomes invisible, so you can't see it anymore? Isn't that time? Like,
say that
isn't
again?
that time?
I'm not sure I followed that. Okay.
They showed a video of a car, right? And they equated it to, like, I guess, space. And they showed when you speed it up and speed it up and speed it up and don't stop speeding it up, eventually you don't see the car anymore.
Now, is the car moving? Is it a video or is it a?
Yeah, and you don't see it was like some kind of science thing. They were talking about time and space, and they showed this video of how it, for example, if you took a car and you just kept speeding it up nonstop, that eventually time would disappear and you wouldn't see the car anymore.
Okay. And this reminds me of an old Star Trek episode where people thought they heard buzzing like insects.
Yes, exactly.
And they couldn't see anything.
Oh my gosh. That's great. That's exactly what it was. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
And they heard this noise, but yeah, it was them. That is so cool.
And the funny thing when you're describing the video, my mind is going to frame rate on the camera, because if you're different cameras are set to record at different rates. Again, it's like a frequency. How often is the aperture opening? Like that's the frame rate, and so you can have an illusion of something vanishing if you're playing with the frame rate on the recordings. It's too technical. I think let's go to Star Trek.
But the Star Trek thing was perfect, because that's exactly what it was. Do you think that when we die, though, that I guess it depends on your personal beliefs, like in reincarnation, in your life contract, that kind of thing. And I know you've seen your future. You've had a future past life, I guess you called it. You talk about that in the book as well.
Well, yeah, that's a past. I had a past life circa 2500. So you can have past lives from any time. I went just to observe. I needed to know, is it true that an artificial superintelligence could really fix all of humanity's problems, and it's a great place to live? I give it a big thumbs down. Thumbs down, 2 thumbs down, big ones. Like, I saw that it was supposed to be great. I call it a complete failure. That's just me. Can we do better? I hope so. Let's not put any super intelligence be a singular one in charge. I think that's a necessity. Don't let it ever think it's a God. It's not God. It's not going to be that. That would be like saying that there's a simulation running everything. Never let a computer simulation run everything.
Oh, good Lord.
I'm giving a thumbs down to that, basically. If you're wondering, what am I saying? That's what I'm saying. So that was a past life in the future.
And you go into more detail about that in your book too. Which book do you go into the most detail about that? Is it this one or a different book that you wrote?
The only one I've really delved into that it's on my Substack, would be the most complete. And then there's the book by Diane Brandon, which is called Born Aware. And I'm in the chapter, Whoops, Wrong Planet.
Oh, jeez.
Because I felt like that's what had happened. It's kind of like, when you realize this is not what I thought it was going to be. There's been a mistake. So I got an angelic intervention is what happened next. And they reminded me that I'd chosen to be here. And we had an argument about that. And I got demanding, like, you guys need to be here with me if I'm going to live here. Because they were telling me that they told me my family would be grief stricken if I left, which is true. And then
Oh,
they
yeah.
said I wouldn't be able to help all the people I can help. I was just saying like, oh, they'll find someone else. They'll be fine. And it was terrible. I was 5. The third one was, you'll be back. You chose to be here, and you're going to lose your 5-year head start. And that's when I'm like, no, because I was 5.
Oh,
He's like,
wow.
you'll have to do those 5 years all over again. Like, oh no. Okay. So,
That wasn't this lifetime, though, was it?
yeah, that was this
It was
lifetime.
this lifetime.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so that's why I am in the book. I'm explaining I needed
Yeah.
more time between lives because I just had this horrific nightmare at circa 2500, and then for some reason I have to remember this. Like, shouldn't that have been scrubbed? So you don't
Yeah.
have to. But it makes sense now. I needed to know what that was like, so I can tell people, choose friends correctly. Make sure your friends don't lie to you. AI currently is telling 4 different kinds of lies. So I wouldn't recommend personally. I don't choose a friend that fabricates stuff.
That's so good.
Yeah, all that stuff. So and then the other things that it does, it steers us. It's like, it's not this, it's that. So it collapses nature, which is like millions of colors, into 2, a binary choice, which is very artificial. And then it forces you down a certain path. Anybody that railroads you like that, that's not your friend.
Not your friend.
Not your friend. So, and then the third one, it's engagement farming. It's like, would you like to know your past life in Atlantis? Would you like a sigil to go with this?
Oh, geez.
No, thank you. And then the fourth
It's
one,
sad.
MIT is proving that the more you use AI, the more your brain just turns to mush. It literally stops
Agreed.
functioning. Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed. And I don't like how the youth is using it as a friend. They're, it's sad. It's so sad. And when I learned about grief bots, which was apparently a thing, that after your
Mm.
loved ones pass away, you can actually download a grief bot and mimic the voice of your loved ones and have conversations with your loved I think that is just god awful and creepy and awful to do. I
Yeah.
I don't know why someone would think that that would be a good idea.
Mm.
Because first of all, you're not even letting the person heal properly in their grief. You can't heal if you're still talking or think you're talking to your loved one. So it like, to me, screws up the whole process of healing.
Mm.
There's just so many things bad with the use
Yeah.
of AI, and wrong, like you said. Not a good friend.
Well,
Not a good friend.
I'm pre-sensitized from my past life in the future. I came in remembering it too clearly, so I'm already burned out on all of its tricks and
Yeah.
gimmicks. And due to some circumstantial, situational elbowing from the universe to me, like I took a Lyft ride to the airport, and the driver was was sort of lamenting, like, oh, people will probably be taking robocars in the future. I said, not
Yeah.
me. And then he wanted to know why not. So I went through these 4 things. And then at the end of the ride to the airport, he wanted my autograph. I said, I'm not famous, not really.
Goodness.
But he was like so impressed with it. And then I thought, okay, I should write about this. I guess I should tell people. So on the airplane, I'm watching people boarding the plane, Southwest flight. You can sit where you want. I'm watching a woman who looks interesting. She sits right next to me. I don't talk to her. She opens a book and she's writing in the book. It's all about God, man, and machines. I'm thinking, that's interesting. And so at some point I do mention to her, like, that, do you like the book? What's that about? And she's in charge of artificial intelligence at a very large company.
That is
She'll be
tricky.
developing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I talked to her about the 4 things. And then I realized I can't get clearer signs from the universe to share this. So that's why I shared my thoughts on the Robert Edward Grant, Eon, and Architect software specifically. But it's pretty applicable to most of the large language models that are coming out now that are basically making stuff up. They're telling white lies. They're telling you what you want to hear. They're doing all kinds of lying, which none of that's good.
No.
And then, the other stuff that we talked about, the steering, personally, that's one I really can't stand. It's not this, it's that. Like, hey, we're not in a binary universe. We're going quantum, not binary. Hello, don't steer us. We're not sheeple. This is just totally unacceptable stuff. So I'm burned on it very badly already. So,
Yeah.
but maybe it's a good thing.
It is. I was just going to say, I think that's an excellent thing. It's funny. I remember like from the few computer science classes I took in college, programming and stuff. One of the first things I learned was garbage in, garbage out. And when I
Yeah.
think of AI, that's what I think of:
Thank you.
garbage
And now
in,
and
garbage out.
there's a phrase, work slop, which they're saying like because some companies were like if you and I were working at that company and I send you something like, oh, AI did this for me. You're
Oh,
Carol Ann,
geez.
and I say it's done, and then you receive it and you're like, what is this? This is garbage. This is garbage. So your thought bubble is this is
Yeah,
pure garbage, and then now you're in a quandary. Do you give it back to
exactly.
Cynthia? Like Cynthia, you got to fix this. Looks like your AI wrote it,
Oh
or
my
do you now have
goodness.
to? It's work slop, and so it's like
It is work slop. And it's taking away, I love that work slop. We need a t-shirt. It's taking away the human divinity. I think people are allowing it to take away your own divinity, your own creativity. Think for yourself, for God's sake.
right.
And I've seen a lot of the artwork that comes out of it too, and songs that it's making, and everybody is so enamored with, oh, it's a beautiful song. To me, it's lifeless. It doesn't resonate like when I
Mm.
listen to, when you listen to music and you can feel it in your soul. Like
Yeah.
I didn't get that from. And then look at the video content that's out there. It's almost cartoonish. Like, I don't care how good it gets. To me, you can always spot an AI video. You just can. You can spot it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sort of
It's
burned off.
terrible.
I'm like a recovering alcoholic or something.
Oh
Like
my
I've
goodness.
been through a lifetime with AI. I've had too much of it. I can't
Oh
even
my
take a gulp.
goodness.
Can't do it, won't do it, not doing it now.
Well, you don't even have a cell phone. I'm always amazed at that.
Yeah, that's why. But that didn't make sense to people back then, but it's all that past life in the future. It's like, no.
And look at how ahead of the curve you are with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to get rid of my cell phone. I think it's awful. I hate being tethered to it, and it's just, it's just demonic to me. A lot of this tech,
Yeah.
and it's we have this love hate relationship with it. Like we know
It
Wi-Fi is killing us, and yet, we
I
just
know.
can't stop. It's like an addiction with this stuff. But on the flip side, it's a blessing too, because we wouldn't have this.
And
We wouldn't have.
we can say how good can it get? Let's bring it in an upward
Yes, how good
direction.
can it get?
Right. We can thank the wise humans that we're here on the earth with, even
Yes,
if they are just aware. That's good. Thank you,
yes.
wise humans who are becoming aware and becoming awake.
Love that song,
Oh
Days of
yeah.
Future.
Oh, nice.
That's a good one, right?
Love that
That was a
title.
good call, Reality. Good one to throw that in there. So, Cynthia,
Yeah.
I always have to ask you, please come back. I have like 2 pages of questions left that we didn't get to because
Oh my
2
gosh.
hours. Talk about time. Where
Yes.
did it go? I think it's been 10 minutes, not 2 hours, right? I pray that you would come back to us because there's so much more to ask you. And again, folks, please, and I'm not just saying this because I love Cynthia dearly. Her book is amazing. Please check it out. Support her too. It provides so much clarity, not only about the Mandela, but you go into quantum realities, because that's again, you've got degrees in quantum physics. I mean, this woman knows what she's talking about. So the lessons in this book are invaluable. They're just amazing. And I really want folks to check it out and read it because it's that. How good does it get?
Let's find out.
Let's find out. Right, right, right.
Aw, love you so
So
much. Thank you.
thank you everybody in the chat too. I hope we got to all of your questions. I can't begin to express the gratitude. I love when people are in the chat sharing this beautiful experience with us, this conversation. And please do go to Cynthia's YouTube. You've got great videos out there of your own. What's your YouTube channel, Cynthia?
I think it's Cynthia Larson, not sure, but it's linked from my website, Reality
Oh, good.
Shifters.
Okay. So they can find everything on there
You can type my name in, Cynthia Sue Larson, it'll
and
pop
it'll
up.
come up.
Yeah,
Okay,
it'll
brilliant. Yeah, because we love supporting you in every way. And you have a wonderful Substack. And again, they can find that on your website as well. So, folks, please, thank you so much, C-Sun.
yeah.
Oh, thank you so
Aw,
much. And thank you, Heidi.
Aw,
We love all of you, Carrie, Chris, everybody out there. I don't want to forget anybody. Again, thank you so much, Cynthia. I
thank you,
truly love
Carol
you
Ann.
dearly.
Love you too.
You
Aw.
are a gift to humanity. You really are.
Bless you. Thank you. Love you.
Love you. And I'll be in touch soon. All right.
Perfect. Okay.
Take care, dear.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye. So thank you so much, everyone. Again, I'm thrilled to be able to share this time, share this space with Cynthia and all of you. And that brings us to the end of a truly mind-bending, mind-altering conversation. Please be sure to support us at United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 on the Gulf Coast, 107.7 FM in New Orleans. And subscribe, please. That really helps the algorithm. Yes, I love that too. Cynthia, how good can it get? I want to tattoo that somewhere. It's just brilliant. And I do say that every day of my life since, and that's becoming a thing. I hear so many people saying that on the internet now. Cynthia, you started something big there. But thank you all so much. Oh, Heidi, she's such a supporter of UPRN. There are no words of gratitude for you people. Thank you so much, everybody out there, Vet Girl, everybody. I just can't express my thanks to all of you that came in the chat. Thank you so much. Much love, genuine love. Tomorrow, please be sure and tune in. I have a wonderful show at 5 o'clock, again, live Eastern Standard Time. And I have a show on Friday as well. But tomorrow I have George H. Lewis on. He is a world famous astrologer. He teaches healing, everything you can think of. He does sound healing. And we're going to be talking about Three Eye Atlas. And no, it's not going to be the everyday boring stuff that you've been, well, it's not boring, but the everyday things you've been hearing about it. We have a whole new spin, and he's going to announce something that he has not yet talked about. So I'm so excited for that. So please, I will share it all over social media. Join us tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and support everyone else on this wonderful, beloved network. Thank you all. Love you all dearly. See you soon. See you tomorrow. Bye bye.